So good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll be getting started. It's 1:02. I see the numbers have slowed a little bit. But for those of you just coming in, just go ahead and place your name in the chat if you haven't already done so. And off we go. So before we dive in, we'd like to take a moment to introduce ourselves. My name is Victoria DeCaria Kerrigan, and I serve as the assessment manager here at the Early Learning Coalition of Palm Beach County. I help oversee the class observation process, the data reporting, and support planning to ensure the quality improvement across all programs. Joining me today, we have Julene Barham Morrison. She is our assessment coordinator. Julene works closely with providers to coordinate observations, communicate timelines, and to ensure that the documentation and logistics run smoothly. So welcome, Julene.
Thank you, Victoria. Good afternoon, everyone.
We are excited to be here with you today as we kick off our 25-26 contract year. We look forward to supporting your work and answering any questions you may have throughout today's session. So before we get started, just a couple of quick housekeeping notes. First, please be aware that this webinar is being recorded. The recording will be available on our YouTube channel in case you'd like to revisit the content or share it with your teams. And second, if you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to drop them in the chat box at any time. We'll either answer them as we go or make sure to address them during the Q&A at the end. So thank you all for helping us keep things running smoothly today. Here's a quick look at what we'll be covering in today's session. We'll start by answering a foundational question, what is program assessment? And then walk through the Florida Department of Education guidelines that inform our work. We'll review who qualifies as exempt providers and also take a look at QPS, the Quality Performance System, which is used to manage classroom and staff data. From there, we'll explore the class framework, which is the tool used to observe and assess classroom interactions. And we'll also go over what to expect during an on-site visit, how assessment results are shared, and finally, we'll connect you with some helpful class resources. We'll wrap up with a Q&A to make sure your questions are answered at the end. So let's get started. Let's begin by defining what we mean by program assessment. So as outlined in section 1002.82 of Florida statutes, a program assessment refers to the evaluation of teacher-child interactions within early learning classrooms. This includes looking at key elements such as responsive caregiving, emotional and behavioral support, engaged support for learning, classroom organization, and instructional support. These interactions are central to promoting high-quality learning environments, and the assessment really helps us understand where programs are excelling and where support may be needed to enhance the outcomes for children. So ultimately, the program assessment provides a snapshot of the quality of care and instruction that's being delivered to our youngest learners. Now let's talk about Rule 6M 4.740 and how it impacts school readiness programs. This rule, established by the Florida Department of Education, outlines what is required for assessing quality in early learning environments. Its goal is really to ensure that all children in school readiness programs receive high quality, early learning experiences that promote their growth and development. By setting high standards, the rule helps programs provide children with the best possible start socially, emotionally, and academically. The assessments tied to this rule are not just about compliance. They're tools that are really supposed to be used for improvement. They help programs understand where they're doing well and where there's room for growth. So the feedback from these assessments can lead to meaningful changes in classroom practices and instructional strategies, which ultimately is going to support stronger child outcomes. It also promotes consistent conversations between teachers, coaches, and leaders to continuously enhance quality. And the good news is programs are not expected to navigate this alone. There are many supports available, including professional development opportunities, coaching, and tools that are designed to help educators build strong, effective interactions with children. We, your Early Learning Coalition, are here to help, and we'll be sharing more about those supports shortly. So what does the rule mean? This one here, Rule 6M 8.621, sets important standards for how voluntary VPK programs are assessed. And the purpose of this rule is to make sure that VPK providers offer high-quality early learning experiences. These assessments help keep VPK programs strong across the state, giving young children a solid start for future school success. What quality looks like. VPK programs are evaluated on things that make a classroom and a great place to learn. So it's got a safe, engaging, and supporting environment. These quality checks help programs grow and improve, making sure all children have the best learning opportunities. How it affects providers. Programs are expected to use the results of their assessments to improve teaching and learning. So to help providers meet those goals, there are many tools available. We have training sessions, technical assistance, and access to useful resources. These supports give providers what they need to meet the state rules and offer great early education. And ultimately, why does it matter for the children? These assessments are key to helping children learn and grow. So they show what's working well in the classroom and where teachers can improve. This helps educators adjust their teaching to meet each child's needs, creating better learning experiences for everyone. I'm going to take a quick break here, take a look at the chat. I see some are having some audio difficulties. Many times it's the connection, so you may want to sign in and out or check your audio settings in the Teams app. Okay, so who do the program assessments go to? Let's clarify which programs are included in the class assessment process. So first, we have all child care providers who have a contract with their local early learning coalition to offer school readiness services, and that's for children from birth through kindergarten entry, are required to participate in the school readiness program assessment. So this includes all age groups, infant, toddler, and pre-K, those classrooms that serve school readiness children. In addition, the assessment also applies to all of our VPK classrooms in the county within a VPK program. So that means school year VPK classrooms as well as summer VPK classrooms are included. Both are required to participate in the VPK program assessment, ensuring that all instructional settings are evaluated consistently and fairly. These assessments help ensure all children, regardless of age or setting, are receiving high-quality teacher-child interactions that support their development. And who is being assessed? Let's take a moment to clarify exactly what is being observed and what's not. So who is included? All providers who have a school readiness or VPK contract are included in the observation process. What is observed? The observation focuses on the entire classroom, not individual children. The goal is to capture the overall quality of teacher-child interactions. The class tool is used to assess how teachers and children interact throughout the day. It is not a child assessment tool, and children are not scored or evaluated individually. Observers take into account all children who are present in the classroom during the visit. And importantly, a child's funding level or pay rate is not considered at all. Every child present contributes to the classroom experience that is being assessed. The focus remains on the interactions, the routines, and the learning environment that are provided to all children equally. So what do you need to know about the assessment tool? Let's take a moment to talk about why program assessments are required and what tool is used. So according to Florida law, specifically in 2018, there was House Bill 1091, and in 2022, there was House Bill 419. All providers with school readiness or VPK contracts are now required to participate in an annual program assessment. These laws were created to help ensure high-quality early learning and greater accountability across all programs that serve young children in our state. The tool used for these assessments is, again, the CLASS, which stands for Classroom Assessment Scoring System. And rather than focusing on curriculum or materials, the CLASS focuses on something even more impactful. It's the quality of interactions between teachers and children. Therefore, strong, positive interactions are what drive learning, and that's exactly what CLASS is designed to observe and strengthen. Let's talk about how often program assessments take place. All school readiness and VPK programs are required to receive an annual program assessment. This means that once every year, each participating program will be observed and evaluated based on the quality of teacher-child interactions. These annual assessments help maintain consistent standards of quality across all early learning programs, and they provide valuable feedback for continuous improvement. It's really important to remember that this is not a one-time process. It's going to be ongoing. Each year brings new opportunities for growth, reflection, and support. So to participate in either the school readiness or VPK program, providers must meet a specific performance standard. So what is that? That standard is a minimum composite program assessment score of a 4.00. This score is going to reflect the overall quality of teacher-child interactions observed in a classroom across several dimensions of the CLASS tool. Meeting or exceeding this threshold is required for contracting and continued participation in these state-funded early learning programs. When we talk about the composite program assessment score, we're referring to the average of all dimension scores from the assessment, excluding the negative climate dimension. This score is a key indicator of overall program quality, and it is used to determine whether a provider meets the threshold for school readiness and VPK eligibility. Again, it's calculated by combining the observed scores across all of the dimensions, excluding negative climate, and then averaging them. giving us a clear snapshot of how effective teacher-child interactions are within the program. I'm going to take a breath here. Julene, are there any questions that are outlying?
There are no questions so far, just some difficulty with hearing. So I've asked that participants check their audio on here on the Teams app, as well as possibly logging out and back in. I've seen that it's worked for some participants so far.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for that update. All right, so no other questions. Let's go ahead and move on. So not all providers are required to participate in the program assessment process at first. There are a few specific exemptions that are outlined by the state. First, child care centers with less than 20% school readiness enrollment are considered exempt. This ensures that the focus remains on programs serving a significant number of school readiness children. Second, family child care homes with 2 or fewer school readiness enrolled children are also exempt from assessment requirements. And finally, providers that operate only during overnight hours, so that would be program hours from 6:01 p.m. to 6:59 a.m., are exempt since class assessments focus on instructional interactions typically observed during daytime programming. It's important to note that these exemptions apply specifically to the School Readiness Program Assessment and not to other monitoring or quality requirements a provider may still be subject to. And although some providers are exempt from program assessment requirements, they still have the option to opt in voluntarily. This means an exempt provider can choose to participate in the program assessment process. This decision is usually made at the time of contract execution, so it's important to communicate your choice early. Once a program opts in, the assessment must be completed within 60 calendar days of their registration in the quality performance system. Opting in can actually be a great opportunity for providers who want to receive feedback and support to help strengthen the quality of their instructional practices, even if they're not required to participate. It's equally important to understand that exemption from program assessment is not permanent and it can be lost. So a provider will no longer be considered exempt if they're cited for disqualifying health and safety violations or if their school readiness enrollment reaches or exceeds the threshold level. And once a provider is determined to be non-exempt, they will permanently remain non-exempt, meaning that they will be required to participate in the program assessment process on an annual basis moving forward. This ensures that all providers, especially those serving a significant number of school readiness children or with previous violations, are held to consistent quality standards. Now let's take a moment to review the key components of the annual assessment process. Once a provider registers, they will receive a notification confirming their registration, which signals the start of this process. So assessments can be scheduled at any point during the year, and each provider is assigned a 2-week assessment window. During that time, observers may visit at any point without advance notice. Providers may select up to 3 blackout days, including closures, when assessments will not be conducted. These must be submitted on time to be honored. For VPK programs specifically, assessments will not begin until at least 15 instructional days after the program start date. And for summer VPK, the observation window begins no earlier than the 5th instructional day. It's important to stay on top of all deadlines included in our communications throughout this process. Missing key deadlines such as the blackout day submission or submission of required documentation may limit your scheduling flexibility and impact your readiness for assessment as well as your monitoring for your contract. Okay, let's take a moment to talk about dual assessment. What does this mean and what should you know? So if a VPK classroom is observed as part of the School Readiness Program Assessment, the SRPA, that observation meets that observation meets all of the rule requirements. It may be possible that it counts toward your VPK program assessment, also known as the VPK PA. However, it's really important to note that this only applies if the observation follows both the SRPA and the VPK PA rules. So it means all requirements for both programs must be met for the observation to count toward both assessments. And another key point for this section, even if your site has a VPK classroom, the system can still randomly select any pre-K age level classroom for the School Readiness Program assessment. So it's not going to be a guarantee that your VPK classroom will be the one selected for observation. So because of that, it's important to ensure that quality practices are consistent across all of your pre-K age level classrooms. Let me pause there. Any questions come in, Julene?
No, not so far. There are no questions so far.
Okay, so we'll move on. And you can take it away, Julene.
Thank you, Victoria. So now we'll go ahead and talk about the quality performance process in terms of your registration and email notifications and deadlines. You'll first receive an email titled QPS Registration Due. This outlines your deadline to submit the required registration and includes a prompt to provide us with 3 blackout dates. These are the dates when observation should not be scheduled due to planned closures, including holidays, special events, or specifically for VPK programs, non-instructional days. It is important to update these dates as well in the provider portal. Your notification will also include your assigned 2-week window. And to stay in compliance with your contract, you are required to log into QPS through the single sign-on system, otherwise known as SSO, and complete all the required tasks by the deadline stated. One important reminder, as Victoria mentioned earlier, that blackout dates that are not submitted or not submitted on time, unfortunately cannot be guaranteed due to scheduling constraints. So please mark those deadlines carefully and submit all deadlines promptly. As a part of the updated access process, all users will now need to log into QPS using the newly adopted single sign-on system, SSO. You'll enter using your unique credentials, and once you're in, you'll be able to complete the program assessment tasks and update your class information. If you happen to experience any issues with logging in, please do not wait. Contact your provider services specialist directly. They're going to be your go-to resource to ensure that access is working properly and that you're staying on track with all your upcoming deadlines. Once you've successfully logged in through the single sign-on system, you'll arrive at this page. You'll look for the section labeled Program Assessment and click the purple Launch button below it. This will take you directly to the registration screen. Here you'll see a green banner that's going to be labeled Needs Registration. You'll click on the Go Register button to begin submitting your program registration details. Please ensure that you complete this step by the specified deadline to remain in compliance. Once you've clicked on Go Register, you'll be directed to the QPS registration form. This form will ask you to enter key details such as your program's name, your job title, phone number, and email address. It is important that your email address is correct and up to date, as this is how we'll communicate with you throughout the assessment process. If you need to update your email address, you can do so in the provider portal. After completing this section, you'll continue to enter information about your site profile, your educators, and your classroom, and be sure to review everything carefully before submission to avoid any delays in processing. Now let's take a closer look at how to complete your QPS registration. Each educator working in your program must be entered into QPS. You'll notice that there's no option to specify whether they're a lead or an assistant, so you'll simply select teacher from the dropdown. Please be sure to enter each staff member's hire date accurately, as this is used to track the 15-day compliance window for new hires. Floaters should also be added to QPS, but they must be categorized under other staff. You'll see floater as an option in the dropdown. And please remember to not assign floaters to classrooms, and you may also enter substitutes under other staff as well in the QPS system. Next, you'll enter the classroom information. This includes all classrooms serving children from birth through kindergarten entry. Make sure to use your program's current classroom names, and if you're registering a VPK classroom, please use the name listed in the ELC portal. When selecting the class tool, choose the one that matches the age group that makes up the majority of the class. As far as language of instruction, you will select the main language used most consistently in the classroom, and if both English and Spanish are spoken, you'll select Spanish. Taking time to enter this information accurately does help to ensure a smooth observation process, and it avoids delays due to data errors. Once all educators and classrooms have been entered into QPS, you will be now ready to complete the final step, which is submitting your registration for review. At this point, a pop-up window will appear titled Acknowledgement. By clicking the Submit button, you are agreeing to allow class observations to take place in any and all classrooms at your program, conducted by coalition staff or third-party evaluators. This submission officially notifies our team that your program is ready to be assessed. Please be sure, again, to review all your information carefully before you click on Submit. Once it's submitted, any changes will need to go through support.
Julian, let's take a quick pause here. I have a few questions I'd like to answer that have come through the chat. So the first one I see is to confirm we do not have to have school-ready class assessments. It's optional. No, that is not correct. If your program status is annual, then that means that moving forward, your permanent status is class observations must be conducted. So feel free, if you have any specific questions regarding your program, to send them my way. My contact information will be at the end of the presentation, so I can verify or help you with your specific situation. Will you share the presentation and recording? The recording is going to be available on our YouTube channel as well as our webpage once it's done processing and gone through our communications department. Is QPS only for school readiness providers? QPS is for school readiness and dually contracted providers. So if you have both school readiness and VPK, you'll be entering your information in QPS. However, if you are VPK only, QPS does not pertain to you. We'll go through your information shortly. For floaters and subs, are they held to the same credential standards with VPK lead teachers? You'll have to ask your contract specialist, your provider specialist for that information. If they are considered a floater or substitute, we are just asking that they be placed in QPS in the correct part of the staff tab, which is other. You'll see both floaters and subs as an option in the drop-down menu. Okay, I'll give it back to you, Julene.
Thank you. All right, so once your QPS registration has been submitted and approved, the system will automatically update your program status to pending composite score. This means that your program is now in queue for an assessment. After the assessment has been completed, your program status will update to reflect one of the following: an annual composite score if your results meet the contract requirements, a QIP composite, which stands for Quality Improvement Plan Composite, if the score indicates the need for targeted improvement, or if your score falls below the required threshold, it will show as score below contract threshold. This system update is essential as it determines next step and contract eligibility based on your composite results. Now we're going to go over the monthly roster. A monthly roster submission is a contractual requirement, and it must be completed by the 15th of each month. Providers must submit a monthly roster even if no changes have occurred. Submitting monthly roster is required to remain in compliance. When preparing your monthly roster, make sure to update any staffing or classroom changes. This includes new hires, educators who have left, or classrooms that may have been opened or closed. QPS also includes a built-in feature where you can view your roster submission history so you can verify your past submissions. You'll also receive automated reminders from both QPS and from the ELC, so keep an eye out for those emails. If you happen to see a red exclamation mark in the system, it simply means that something is missing. It could be a staff member who hasn't been assigned to a classroom. A classroom could be missing an open date, or an educator could be missing a start date in the system. One important note here is that missed submissions cannot be backdated. QPS will only accept the current month's roster, so please do not wait until the last minute to update and submit your monthly rosters. And finally, with regards to the monthly roster, if your program status in QPS is currently listed as exempt, you are not required to submit a monthly roster. Keeping these records up to date do help ensure that assessments are done in a timely manner, so please make sure that you participate in completing this monthly routine. Here we have some tips to assist you with completing your registration efficiently in QPS. First, you want to ensure that you have your staff files close by for quick access. You'll need to reference them when entering staff details. Next, you'll need to have current class lists for each of your classrooms available. This helps to confirm the age groups and assign them correctly in the QPS system. You want to make sure that you're entering the educator's legal name exactly the way it appears on their ID. This is especially important for matching records. Please use the classroom names as they appear in your internal records or program roster. And for VPK, the classroom name must match the one listed on your official VPK application, for example, AF25-Class A. Having this information ready will help to ensure a smooth process and an accurate registration process as well. The ELC portal, let's take a moment to go over some important reminders here. You want to ensure that your contact information is up to date. This includes your email address and phone number. This ensures that you're not missing any updates that we're sending out to you. Check and update your hours of operation and closure dates regularly. This ensures your record reflects when your program is open and available to serve children. If you're a VPK provider, make sure that you're updating your educator information and verifying that all active VPK classrooms are accurately listed on your VPK application. Additionally, VPK providers should confirm that non-instructional days are clearly marked and kept current in the portal. Maintaining these details in the ELC portal helps to ensure compliance and minimizes delays or miscommunication during the assessment process. Once you've submitted your QPS registration, the next step is the SRPA information session. This will take place by phone, and during the phone call, a program assessment team member will walk you through your registration to ensure everything is accurate. We'll review the assessment process, clarify any final questions you may have, and make sure that you're comfortable with next steps. After the call, you will receive a confirmation letter via email. This email will contain your approved registration summary and step-by-step instructions for uploading your class list for each classroom. It is important that we complete this step before your assessment window begins to ensure a smooth process. Now, for providers who are VPK only, there is a brief but important step. You'll be required to complete a form via a link that will be provided to you. This form will collect some essential information, including the number of active VPK classrooms at your site, up to 3 dates that you'd like to black out for special events, closures, or non-instructional days, the primary language used in each VPK classroom, and the names of the instructors assigned to those classrooms. Victoria will now go over the class tool and observation process in more detail.
Thank you, Julene. I think here I wanted to just make a quick mention of VPK classrooms to remind everyone that the VPK classroom and observation are conducted with the instructors that are approved from your VPK application. So please ensure that your VPK application is updated accurately to reflect the educators that are in that classroom. Okay, let's take a moment to clarify what counts as instructional time under the VPK program. So instructional hours are not just about time spent in the classroom. They refer specifically to planned learning experiences that are intentional and standards driven. Instructional time includes activities that help children develop early literacy and math skills, lessons that align with Florida's early learning and developmental standards, instruction that is tailored to meet individual children's needs. Now, what must instructors do during this time? They must be actively engaged with children. Simply supervising is not enough. All instruction should be curriculum-based, and instructors must hold appropriate credentials, whether they're lead teachers, aides, directors, or substitutes. So what doesn't count? Time when staff are on breaks or planning periods, nap time, and unstructured activities like free play, parties, or general recess time without a learning objective. Keeping these distinctions in mind is essential for ensuring accurate reporting and meeting VPK contract requirements. Outdoor play can count as instructional time if it's intentional. So to be counted toward VPK instructional hours, outdoor activities must be more than just recess. They need to include curriculum-based learning experiences that show intentional educator-child interaction. This means teachers are not standing on the sidelines. They're guiding and modeling learning, asking open-ended questions, and helping children build skills in areas like literacy, math, problem solving, and social emotional development. To be observation ready, make sure these activities are clearly planned, aligned with your VPK curriculum, and observable to anyone conducting an assessment. Observers must be able to see evidence of instructional intent, not just outdoor free play. And when it's done right, outdoor learning becomes a very powerful, engaging part of your instructional day. Now let's go over a few key reminders to help you stay compliant and support meaningful instruction during your VPK hours. Stay compliant by following these tips. Be sure to submit your attendance and monthly staff rosters on time. This is a contractual requirement. Your daily schedule should clearly show which parts of the day are instructional versus non-instructional. Remember that all instructional hours must be covered by a qualified, approved, and engaged instructor. Here's a quick educator engagement checklist. Ask yourself, am I actively teaching, guiding, or observing during this activity? Are the children meaningfully engaged in learning? And finally, does the activity support a developmental or academic goal? Keeping these points in mind will help ensure your program meets VPK requirements and delivers quality instruction to children. Taking a moment to review group size and ratio requirements for both the school year and summer VPK programs. First, the school year program. The total number of instructional hours is 540. The maximum class size is 20 students, and that does include multi-class groups. You can have one instructor for every 11 students or a lead instructor with an aide for up to 20 children. For the summer program, instructional time totals 300 hours. The maximum group size is 12 students. That's with a required ratio of one instructor to 12 students. No assistants are required or permitted for larger groups in the summer model. Adhering to these ratios helps ensure a safe and effective learning environment for all of our VPK children. Before we move on, let me take a quick glance at the chat for any questions. Tawanda will be answering your question shortly. Mary Ellen, is it okay to submit the monthly roster in the beginning of the month? Yes. You can do it anytime before the 15th, the 1st through the 15th. On the 1st, you'll usually get the reminder email from the QPS system. And usually between the 5th and the 10th, you should receive a second reminder that comes from me, actually, for those that haven't completed it yet. Casey, the QPS process. The QPS process has actually been in operation for quite some time now. If you have any questions regarding the process, QPS, if you're new to it, please feel free to reach out to us. Contact information will be available at the end. Liliana, so if we have two VPK classes in one room, yes, that's a multi-class group. There can only be 20 students. Yes, that is correct. The maximum number allowed by VPK is 20, including multi-class groups. Yes, even if you have two leads and two assistants, the maximum allowed is 20. And so Serena, we will have the recording available as the ELC webpage, sorry. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about class a bit. So what is class? As mentioned before, CLASS stands for the Classroom Assessment Scoring System. It is the observation tool developed by Teachstone that focuses specifically on the quality of teacher-child interactions. Why is it important? Because these interactions, how we engage with children, how we support their thinking and development, they actually have a direct impact on learning outcomes. Using class, we can create a shared understanding of what high-quality interactions look like in your program. This shared language helps align staff, it supports coaching efforts, and guides improvement across the board. And what's more is that class provides the foundation for a system of continuous data-driven improvement. So the insights received from class observations can help identify your strengths and opportunities for growth. And finally, the goal of class isn't just the scoring. It's supporting your teaching practice through personalized professional development so that you and your team can continually grow and succeed every day. Who uses class? Many states across the country use the class tool as part of their quality rating and improvement system. It's often referred to as a QRIS. Research does support that class is one of the most powerful tools for predicting long-term academic and developmental outcomes in children. One of the strengths of the class system is actually its flexibility. It works with any curriculum, in any early learning environment, including family childcare homes, private childcare centers, Head Start programs, and even K through 12 classrooms. Additionally, some programs use class alongside other assessment tools to gain a more complete picture of classroom quality, as well as instructional practices. Looking at the class age levels, the class tool is designed to be developmentally appropriate for different age groups, and it's divided into 3 distinct levels for our early childhood education. So the infant class is used to observe interactions with children from birth to 18 months. At this stage, the focus is on nurturing, responsive care, and early emotional connections between the caregivers and the infants. The toddler class applies to children between 19 and 35 months. Here, the observers are looking for supportive environments that promote language development, social emotional growth, as well as exploration. And then we have the pre-K class, which covers children from 36 months up to kindergarten entry. And this version really emphasizes instructional support, classroom organization, and emotional and behavioral development in a more structured learning setting. Each version of the class tool is tailored to reflect what high quality interactions look like at that specific stage of development. The class tool breaks down teacher-child interactions into developmentally appropriate domains that align with the children's age group. So the infant class focuses on just one domain, and that's responsive caregiving. This includes warm, nurturing interactions that help infants feel secure and helps them form strong attachments. And these are really the foundation for future learning. The toddler class observes 2 key domains. The first being emotional and behavioral support, which looks at how the teachers help toddlers manage their emotions and behaviors. And then engage support for learning. This focuses on encouraging exploration and curiosity through intentional, hands-on interactions. And then we have the pre-K class, and it expands into 3 domains. The first, emotional support. So this reflects how well the teacher builds positive relationships and fosters a warm, supportive environment. Then we have classroom organization, which focuses on behavior management and productivity. And instructional support. This really captures how the teachers promote thinking, problem solving, and language development. Each domain is designed to ensure that the children are experiencing meaningful, developmentally supportive interactions every day. So this is a quick overview of the infant class. It is designed specifically, again, for infants from birth to 18 months. It focuses on the quality of interactions between caregivers and infants in one central domain, which was responsive caregiving. And that domain is broken down into 4 key dimensions. We look at relational climate. This dimension looks at the emotional connection between the caregiver and infant. So again, it's that warmth, that affection, and that sense of security. Teacher sensitivity. This we observe how well the caregiver reads and responds to the infant's cues and needs. So whether it's hungry, distressed, or joy. Then we have facilitated exploration, and this focuses on how the caregiver really supports the infant's curiosity and helping them explore their surroundings, making sure it is in a safe and engaging way. And then we have early language support. This captures how the caregiver really encourages early communication. So that may be through talking, labeling, singing, and responding to their vocalizations. So together, these 4 dimensions paint a picture of high-quality caregiving that supports the emotional security and early development of infants. Now moving on to the toddler class, here is a brief overview of those domains and dimensions. Again, we're looking at interactions between teachers and children ages 15 to 35 months. At this stage, children are building independence, their language, and their social emotional skills. So the quality of adult-child interaction really matter more than ever. The tool focuses on 2 domains, emotional and behavioral support. And this domain includes positive climate, again, that warmth and connection in the classroom, negative climate, the minimal negativity or harshness present, teacher sensitivity, responding to children's needs and emotions, regard for child perspectives. This is when we're encouraging choice, independence, and following children's needs. And behavioral guidance, supporting that self-regulation and addressing behavior effectively. And then we have the second domain, engage support for learning, and this includes facilitation of learning and development. This is that active support of exploration and skill building. Quality of feedback, that's how well the teacher expands their thinking and deepens their learning. And language modeling, using rich, responsive language to support communication. And together, these dimensions highlight how strong, responsive teaching fosters toddler learning, exploration, and emotional growth. And finally, we have the pre-K class. In a brief overview, this tool is designed really to assess the quality of interactions in preschool classrooms. It does play a crucial role in supporting social, emotional, and cognitive development for those children that are 36 months to kindergarten entry. It's organized into 3 domains, each with specific dimensions that helps us to understand what effective teaching looks like in early childhood. So the first is emotional support. This domain, again, helps foster a warm, respectful, and emotionally safe learning environment. And here we're looking at positive climate, the warmth and respect and enjoyment shared between the teachers and the children. Negative climate, that's the absence of, again, that negativity or harshness. Teacher sensitivity, how attuned the teacher is to the student's needs. And regard for student perspectives, that is the valuing and encouraging of children's ideas, their interests, and independence. Next, we have classroom organization. This domain focuses on how well that classroom runs as a learning environment, and it includes behavior management, that is the effective support for positive behavior. Productivity, that's the smooth routines and transitions. Instructional learning formats, this is the engaging activities that really maximize their learning time. And finally, instructional support. So this domain reflects how the teachers promote thinking and language development, and it does include concept development. This is the encouraging analysis, reasoning, and problem solving. Quality of feedback, those are the responses that expand that learning. And language modeling, that rich, meaningful conversation that happens that's continuously promoting vocabulary and thinking. And together, these domains provide a powerful framework to improve classroom quality and support every child's success. I'm going to take a quick breather and take a look at the chat before I move on. Emily, let's see, multi-class again. Okay, so like I mentioned before, the max classroom size is 20 for VPK. Even if it is 2 class groups, the max is 20. And I don't see any others. Again, this is being recorded, so you'll have access to it on our YouTube channel as well as our webpage. Okay, so moving along, how many classrooms are assessed? So let's go over how classrooms are selected for observations. So the selection process is random. The system used by the Division of Early Learning makes the selections automatically based on your submitted registration. For infant, toddler, and pre-K age groups, 50% of the classrooms will be chosen for assessment. So that means if a site has an odd number of classrooms, the system will round up in its choosing. For example, if there are 3 toddler rooms, the system will select 2 of those 3 for their observation. If there are 5 infant rooms, 3 will be assessed. It is important to note for VPK classrooms, 100% of them are required to be assessed. Every VPK classroom on the provider's application must receive a class observation. This process really helps ensure fairness and consistency across all provider types and age groups. So let's take a moment to clarify a term you'll hear often during this process, observer. According to the Division of Early Learning, an observer is defined as a certified, reliable observer who is trained for the specific age group of the classroom they are assessing. They must meet the qualifications outlined in Form DEL SR 740. In our organization here at the ELC, we refer to these individuals as assessment specialists. So if you hear either term, observer or assessment specialist, just know they mean the same thing. These professionals are responsible for conducting your classroom observations and collecting objective, reliable data based on the class tool. About our assessment team, I'd like to share a little bit about our team behind our class assessments. Our assessment specialists are highly trained professionals who are committed to conducting fair, accurate, and reliable observations. Each one of our specialists is trained and certified directly by Teachstone, the organization that developed the class tool. Their preparation is rigorous. It does include mastering observation techniques, scoring reliability, as well as child development principles. To maintain consistency, our team completes monthly calibration sessions. This really helps ensure that scoring stays accurate and aligned across all of our team. We also use internal double coding and partner with Teachstone for additional quality checks to uphold the highest standards of reliability. And beyond this training role, many of our team members are also certified class trainers, which means that they're not only observing and certified to observe, but they are also equipped to coach and support teachers in strengthening classroom interactions. So you can definitely feel confident knowing that your program is being assessed by a team committed to both accuracy and growth.
We'll now take a look at the on-site procedures for assessment day. The assessment specialist will visit your site during your regular operating hours. For school readiness programs, the visits typically happen in the morning unless your program's children arrive later in the day. For VPK, specialists usually arrive before instructional hours begin to verify classroom and staff details, but the observation itself can take place at any time during your approved VPK hours. During the visit, the class lists and the educator assignments will be reviewed for accuracy. After that, assessment specialists will introduce themselves to the educators and proceed with the observation. Please note that the director does not have to be on site. As long as there's someone available to confirm the classroom and staff details, we can always move forward with the observations. So you might be wondering who can be observed in the classrooms. For school readiness, any educator can be observed as long as they've been in the classroom for at least 15 days. Particularly for VPK, the lead educator, the assistant, the VPK director, or the substitute may be observed. And a warm reminder that volunteers are not permitted to be in the classroom during observation time.
Julian, I just want to reiterate, sorry, the VPK, once again, that for VPK, it should only be the lead, assistant, VPK director, or a substitute that have been approved on your VPK application that are in the classroom during the observation.
Thank you for that. So here's what you can expect during the class observation process. Please note that therapists are allowed to remain in the classroom during the observation. Their presence does not interfere with the process. Once the observation begins, observers remain completely silent for approximately 2 hours. They do not interact with or supervise children. Their role is to observe only. The assessment specialist stays in the classroom the entire time and does not leave while scoring is being completed. And the observation process follows a cycle-based format. The observer watches and takes detailed notes for about 15 to 20 minutes. Then they pause for about 10 minutes to score what they had just observed. And this process is repeated for a total of 4 cycles. So this structure ensures that the data collected reflects a natural flow of the classroom life and gives a well-rounded view of the teacher-child interactions happening in the classroom. Let's talk about where observations can take place and what to expect during the assessment window. For infant and toddler classrooms, they can be observed both indoors and outdoors. Observers are looking for meaningful interactions no matter what the setting might be. For pre-K classrooms, they may also be observed outdoors, but only if the activities and the interactions are instructional. If they're not, the assessment specialist will pause the observation and wait until the class transitions back indoors. For VPK, outdoor activities can only be included in the observation if they follow the VPK instructional hour guidelines. That means the outdoor time must be structured, planned, and led by a qualified instructor. With regards to observation timing, in some cases, multiple visits may be needed to your site to complete all the required observations. And if for some reason there are delays that occur due to special circumstances, our team will definitely communicate with you, and we may need to extend your observation window as needed. You might be wondering, how do you prepare for observations? First, you want to let the children know that a visitor will be coming out to the classroom within the next few weeks. And it's completely normal to feel a little nervous, but we do highly encourage that you go about your day just like any other day, as if we were not there doing an observation. And to remember that the goal of the observation is to see what a regular day looks like for you as well as the children. Things to know before your class observation. The class observer is watching how children interact with the educators and with other children. They look at how children respond and behave to see how effective those interactions are. Observers know that children will act like children, things will happen, but what matters most is how you respond. That is what the observer is really taking a look at. Class observers do their best to stay out of your way during observations. Educators are encouraged to not focus on what the observer is doing, but to focus their interactions on the children. The observers might look serious or neutral. Sometimes they might be writing a lot of notes, and other points, a few notes may be documented. That is completely normal depending on the part of the assessment phase that we're in. Observers may move around the classroom to better see what's happening and to hear what's going on. And they also focus on the overall classroom experience and how children interact with all the educators that are present in the classroom. With regards to your assessment results, the composite score notifications are sent up to 14 days after all the observations have been completed. Summary reports may be requested by filling out the Microsoft form through the link in the notification email that you will receive. We ask that you kindly allow up to 14 days to view the reports in the document library of the Coalition's portal. So this is new. We ask that you allow up to 14 days to view the reports in the document library of the Coalition's portal. They will be found under the Program Assessment folder. I'll now hand it over to Victoria to talk with you more with regards to class composite calculations.
Thank you, Julene. Let's go ahead and highlight that again because this will be new for this contract year. When you're requesting your summary reports, you're doing so through the Microsoft form that's included in the composite score notification email. Again, we have the 14 working days turnaround time. However, moving forward, your summary reports will be found in the document library of the Coalition portal under the Program Assessment folder. So we will not be emailing you copies. They will be uploaded to that document library and you will have access to them there moving forward. All right, let's take a look at class program composite scores, what it means. So the class composite score is used to measure the overall quality of a program based on how classrooms score during the observations. The score is calculated by averaging all of the dimensions scores, except negative climate, across every classroom that was observed. To get an accurate result, all classrooms must be observed first, and the final score is always going to be rounded to 2 decimal places, and it will reflect how well the program supports strong teacher-child interactions. According to the School Readiness Program Assessment FAQ, there is no appeal process for the program assessment composite score. Question 16 clearly states that providers cannot appeal their scores. This rule really helps keep the scoring process consistent, fair, and trustworthy, and is the reason behind the rigorous training and continuous professional development of our assessment specialist team. When interpreting class scores, it's important to understand what each range means. So a low score from 1 to 2 means that the targeted behaviors were missing, rarely seen, or not done with quality. In the mid-range score, this is 3 to 5, tells us that the behaviors were somewhat present, but maybe only part of the time or only for some of the children. And the high range, which is 6 to 7, means the behaviors were strong, consistently present, and experienced by all or nearly all children in the classroom. Observers are trained to look not only for what happens, but how often it happens and who it reaches. That's why class scoring goes beyond just checking boxes. It's not a checklist. It's about measuring the overall experience of the children. As we look at this slide, you'll see the national averages for each of the 3 class domains, and this is based on data from the Office of Head Start's 2020 Class Descriptive Statistics. So starting at the top, you'll see emotional support has the highest average score at a 6.03, which shows that many programs do well in creating that warm, supportive environment where children feel safe and connected. For classroom organization, this one follows closely with an average score of 5.78, and this is indicating that most classrooms manage behavior well, they use their time effectively, and they keep routines running smoothly. Instructional support, however, is consistently the lowest scoring domain with an average of 2.94. And what this really suggests is that there's still a lot of room for growth in areas like concept development, quality of feedback, and language modeling. I think that understanding these national benchmarks can really help us reflect on our own practice and identify areas to celebrate as well as those areas to strengthen. Okay, earlier we talked about a program status, scores below contracting threshold, and this is for school readiness. If the Early Learning Coalition or ELC identifies a program as an essential provider, a waiver may be issued so that the program can continue operating despite scoring below that threshold. In these cases, the provider is required to complete a quality improvement plan or a QIP. This plan is going to be a 12-month targeted strategy that focuses on enhancing program quality by setting clear performance goals and outlining steps to improve. The QIP is designed to help programs address areas needing improvement, meet state quality standards, and most importantly, continue providing meaningful support for children's development. This process gives essential providers a structured path to strengthen their practice while maintaining their eligibility and services. If a school readiness program receives a class composite score below a 4 and the Early Learning Coalition determines the provider is not an essential provider, they may request a second assessment, but this would be at the provider's expense, and the cost is $350 per observation. To move forward with this option, the provider must submit written notification within 30 days of receiving the composite score notification email. And it's important to know that the new score must meet the contract minimum threshold in order for the program to maintain its eligibility and continue contracting with the coalition. This process gives providers an opportunity to improve their outcomes and stay in compliance with quality standards. For VPK providers, if a provider receives a class program composite score below 4.00, they may request a second assessment, but please note that this reassessment is optional and it is conducted at the provider's expense at a cost of $350 per observation if they want to try and improve their initial results and continue contracting with VPK in the subsequent year. To initiate this process as well, the provider must send a written notification within 30 days of receiving that composite score email. Timing is key here because late requests may not be accepted due to your program dates. And again, this option is only available for those providers, VPK providers, that score below the 4.00 threshold. As part of the Quality Improvement Plan, or QIP, each program will receive a follow-up assessment. Their second program assessment must be completed within the final 60 days of the 12-month QIP period. This timing just ensures that we capture progress and improvements accurately and consistently. However, if a provider chooses to end their QIP earlier than the full 12 months, a second assessment can be conducted, but it'll be at the provider's expense, again at the cost of $350 per observation. So it's really important to plan accordingly and communicate with our team if there are any changes to your QIP timeline. Okay, what's next? After your class observation, you don't have to navigate the next steps alone. Our TA coaching staff is here to support you. They'll walk through your report with you, look closely at your scores. They'll help address any questions or concerns and work with you to build a plan for improving classroom interactions. This support is available year-round and it's open to all providers, no matter your score. You'll also continue to have access to professional development opportunities, ongoing class trainings, and tools like My Teachstone, where you can reflect on your feedback, complete targeted learning, and track progress over time. The goal is really to use this observation as a learning tool to strengthen your practice, not just to meet a requirement. This slide just shows you class fits into a continuous quality improvement cycle. So it all begins with collecting the observation data. Class observations are going to give us a clear picture of the interactions happening in the classroom every day. Next, we use that data to identify each teacher's individual needs because professional growth should be personalized. It's really not a one-size-fits-all. And with those needs in mind, we then provide feedback and create differentiated professional development plans that are specific, targeted, and aligned with real classroom experiences. Once those plans are in place, we provide the content and context needed for effective professional development, whether that be through coaching, training, or reflective practice. The ultimate goal of this process is to impact the teaching practices that directly influence child outcomes. So that's ensuring every child benefits from quality teacher-child interactions. And then the cycle continues because quality improvement is ongoing, it's responsive, and it's always centered on the children that we serve. To help you continue growing your understanding of class, there are several great resources you can tap into anytime at your own pace. First, the Teaching with Class podcast. This is a great way to listen to helpful tips and strategies while on the go. The episodes focus on real classroom challenges and how to use class tools in practical ways. Next, there's the Teachstone blog. This offers weekly articles filled with insights, strategies, and stories from the field. It's a great way to stay up to date with best practices. Storytime Live is actually a fun and educational way to bring class strategies into your story time. We've seen sessions include downloadable reading guides that focus on instructional support. And finally, become a member of the class learning community. This gives you access to a large network of educators. At this point, they're over 25,000 strong, where you can exchange ideas, access exclusive resources, and continue learning together. All of these resources are free and available to support your growth and success with class. That brings us to the end of our presentation. Thank you so much for your attention, your engagement. We'd love to open the floor to any additional questions you might have, whether it's about the observation process, class scoring, available resources, or even next steps. We're here to support you. There's no such thing as a small question, so feel free to ask anything that's on your mind. I see Julene's been actively answering.
Yes, I got through a few of them. One of the questions is going back to classroom assessment scoring manual. Can we have a copy of it?
I don't believe we have copies of the manuals available, but if you reach out to your TA coach, they can offer you the dimensions guides, which is a practical use in the classroom.
Someone asked, can I see the previous slide again?
Okay,
It
the
was back to
previous
the
slide,
resources.
that was resources. Here you go.
Someone also asked, for interpreting the class scores, can you elaborate on what you mean about the children's behavior? Trying to figure what slide that was.
Justina, if you have a specific question about that, I'm going to put our information up. If you could just email us so we can go ahead and give you the information that you're looking for. This is our contact information. If you have any follow-up questions or need additional support after today's session, please feel free to reach out to our team directly. We are here to help you. You can contact either myself, Victoria, or Julene. We're here to help. We want to ensure that you feel confident and supported throughout the class observation process. And we are going to end it right on time, which is great. Thank you all for your participation. We look forward to being in touch with you. And again, if you have questions, send them our way, give us a call. We're here to support you. And please remember some of those items that will be new this year as far as deadline compliance, to make sure that you're not out of compliance, as well as the location of your summary reports. They'll be in the document library. What else did we highlight, Julene?
Just making sure that the information in QPS matches with the VPK app for VPK providers, making sure that your email address are up to date so that we can correspond with you.
Yep, following the VPK instructional hour guidelines, class sizes. And again, if you have
Sending,
any questions, send them our
yeah,
way.
and finally sending blackout dates on time, please.
Yes, if we don't get them in on time by the deadline, they may not be honored um, due to our scheduling constraints. Well, again, thank you all so much for your time, your attention, your commitment to quality early learning. We truly appreciate the work that you do every day to support the children, families, and your communities. As always, like I've said, we're here to support you, whether it's with class, observations, coaching, or simply being a resource when you need it. We are available. We look forward to continuing this journey with you. And I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thanks again.
Thank you, everyone.
And thank you, Julene, for your help.
You're most welcome.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the recording and hope you all have a wonderful day. Look forward to speaking with you soon. Thank you. Take care.